great. Rodney and I both brought our mothers with us today. My mother is here. Where are you?
Is she? Where's Mom?
Are you crocheting?
Oh, hello
Right
there. Would you stand up and take a bow on camera? Go on. Take a camera on you. That's the real Mama
Yes,
Cass.
that is the real Mama Cass.
Hey, what's this I read about you? You were going to host or be on a Tonight Show and you passed out?
Well, yes.
What was wrong?
I had a headache. I know that sounds really good. Actually, I had the vapors. Remember in the old days, people used to get the vapors and take to the beds with a compress. But I had a headache, and I hadn't eaten anything all day long, and my blood sugar level dropped, and I just sort of tipped over.
That's a prettier ring.
Thank you. My manager gave me that. As well he might.
God, that's
Actually, it's kind of, it's a real, like we used to say on the street when I was growing up, a knuckle duster.
It's better than 20%.
It's a lot better than 20%. We were talking about that backstage. You know, agents and managers complain about how much money they're getting. And whenever an agent or somebody that's working with me says, they complain about the money, I say, well, look, you go out and do it, and I'll take 10%. I don't mind.
That's
you go right ahead. You try it.
Or the ones who take 50% of your income. When you do half the show, you say, come on, you finish it.
That's right. You do the second half. You close the show. Well, what I wanted to say was, you can't pass out in the privacy of your own home. I had to do it at NBC, where there were millions of cameras and people all around me and everything, and it was really depressing. But I'm okay.
Rodney, are you trying to get it open now, son? You want me to open it for you? Here, let me get it. Excuse me, Cass. There.
All right. Don't step on the suede shoes, Michael.
Sorry about that. But you passed out and
I passed out.
Did you go to the
curlers
hospital?
In my hair, yes. When we're growing up, our mothers always tell us, and I can say this with my mother, your mother always used to say before you leave the house, make sure you change your underwear. God forbid you should be in an accident. But nobody ever tells you about passing out with curlers in your hair. That's a good look. When you're trying to get all fixed up, ready to go somewhere, and you've got curlers in your head. It's not really the most attractive thing I could have done.
You remember the last time you were here? What
Yes,
happened?
I do.
Cass has a thing for tasty cakes, which are cupcakes. Are they just in this area, or are they all?
Well, since that show, I had mentioned that I really like tasty cakes, and Mike brought out. I don't know, a carload at least. And so I had all these cupcakes in my hotel up in, I was playing at the Latin Casino the last time I was here. So then, when the show aired that we did, the Tasty Cake Baking Corporation, this is the continuing dramatic saga of Cass Elliot and the giant tasty cake that devoured the Hollywood Hills. So they Have you had tasty cake?
Snooze for a minute.
Okay.
You take a little snooze. We'll give you a cupcake when you get up, because I know I'm not going to leave town without cupcakes.
And I'll give you some candy too.
Okay.
I already had some. I wasn't going to tell you, but there was some backstage that I had to have some just to keep myself going.
So go ahead.
So they said, well, we do. I mentioned on the show that they didn't sell tasty cakes in California, so people got real hot about it. The people who do sell tasty cakes in California. So they said, well, you come on in and we'll give you all the tasty cakes you want. And I said, great. And I knew it. They were stale. I knew they didn't travel well. So remember, tasty cakes don't travel well like good French wine. They have to be had on the East Coast,
One other thing I recall you mentioning when you were here last, a new boyfriend.
Yes.
How are things going?
Very well, thank you.
Is this serious?
What do you mean by serious? Marriage?
Yeah.
I don't get that serious. I've been that serious twice, and that was too serious.
You were married twice?
Yes, I was.
Well,
I don't think I'll do it again.
Why not?
I don't know. I guess I think I'm really too selfish to get married. I like to play around. I don't mean sexually, promiscuously. I mean, I just don't, sometimes I just don't want to be with somebody. And that's real hard when you're trying to maintain a
It's
marriage
tough when you're married, you don't want to be with somebody.
Yes, you understand what the problem is. Right. So we're together, George and I are together until we're not. At the moment, I'm on the East Coast, he's up in Northern California. And
I also read somewhere where you said that marriage should be abolished.
Well, I think I was too strong about that.
Maybe that was the night just before you passed out.
I think, or it was probably during my second divorce. I think it's probably what it was.
Why did people say things like that?
Well, I don't know. I don't think marriage should be abolished. I think that for some people, it's really a super thing. I think for me, it's not, because I'm used to being on my own and not having to answer anybody for nothing. And I don't really want anybody saying to me, what are you thinking, all the time.
If you weren't in this business, because this is a tough business, I think it is a tough business. Tough for men and women, but tougher for women.
I think so.
Do you think if you were not in this business, you would feel differently about marriage?
I mean, that's like asking me, you know, if I were tall and skinny, what would I be doing? I mean, I am in this.
No.
I'd be married. I've been in the business 15 years come September, and so I can't really, and that's almost half my life too. I can't really imagine what else I would be doing. I think at one point in my life I wanted to, you know, do what everybody else wanted to do, at least the people that I grew up with, you know, which was, you know, find somebody that you loved and dug and wanted to be with more than anybody else in the world and have children, and he would work.
Now, that's also another problem for
It's
somebody in this...
also a lie.
This fellow is not the working type?
Oh, we're not talking about my relationship at the moment.
I see.
You know,
he works?
Yes, he does.
Is he a producer or what?
He's an actor and a writer.
Good
songwriter.
one?
I don't know. I don't ask him about his work.
You're an actor too?
Yeah.
Do you like to work?
Yeah.
You don't ever get tired of working?
Nope.
What about the 10th take of a commercial when you have to pound the hamburger? That doesn't bug you either?
I don't care what, I'll just tear the hamburger up.
What is an alternative for marriage, Cass?
Well, it depends on what you expect from marriage. I mean, some people get married just so they don't have to work. You know, that still happens. A lot of people get married so that somebody else will take that burden. To me, an alternative, see, I hate that word alternative. I would say the relationship that I have and have had in the past with maybe one or two other men, I don't know whether, you know, I can say this on television, but I'm gonna. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with living with somebody that you like and that you love. It was a difficult decision for me because I'm going to be 33 years old in September, and I come from a generation that is sort of bridging the gap between what I think the new lifestyle for the world is and what the kind of old lifestyle was. I mean, we are sort of middle-of-the-road liberals, you know? I mean, we're liberal about the way education is, and we're liberal about religion. And I don't use that word politically. I'm not talking like Mort Saul says when he says middle-of-the-road or right-wing social democrats. What I'm saying is that half of the women are evolved and half of them are liberated and half of our generation will not be liberated. I don't even want to get into that because we talked about that last time I was on the show. What I'm saying is let's put it this way, it would not break my heart if my daughter did not get married.
What is your mother's reaction to what you've just said?
You have to ask her.
You've said this before, I know.
Well, I think, and I'm going to say this even though she's in the house.
Wait, let's ask your mother.
She'll tell you.
What is your reaction to what your daughter just said?
Well, I think it's dynamite. I'm just jealous that I'm not living now.
All right, Mom.
Actually, Cass, I think what has disturbed more people than any other thing is the kind of language used in the tapes.
But everybody, I mean, you know, when men get together or women get together and you're talking about things, you know, you have a tendency to use profanity, and when it says expletive deleted, you can't say that when you become president, you can't curse anymore.
Well, it's not the expletives. I don't really think the American people mind that too much. After all, they loved Harry Truman. But,
do you think that the presidential advisors, for instance, none of us had, I mean, I for one, and I consider myself relatively, you know, well-read, had ever heard of Ehrlichman or Haldeman or any of those people until this Watergate, you know, with the exception of a few little things before that when they made, you know, statements. We never knew that these people were so close to the president and so involved in the decisions that were running our country. Do you think maybe it would be a good idea for future presidents to say, thank you for electing me president, I hope to do the best job I can do, and these are the men that I've chosen to help me and to advise me in this, and introduce them perhaps and present them to the American public so that they won't be strangers to them?
well, sir.
Love music, don't you?
Yeah,
It's
it's
great.
great.
Cass brought up an interesting point, Jack, as we cut away. Please repeat what you said to Jack.
Well, I think that what I wanted to ask Jack was that I think that it's important that these tapes come out, but I do think that the public should not be privy to every word that is spoken in the president's office, and I'm not talking now about matters that involve national security, you know, and the defense of this country, and necessarily our foreign policy either. And I know that in the instance of these tapes, the reason that they are trying to make them public is because they believe that on these tapes will be evidence, or at least information that will show that the president either did or did not have knowledge of the Watergate break-ins and the so-called plumbers and dirty tricks tactics. And I realize that's why they want the tapes made public. But at the same time, I feel that the office of the president, and maybe I'm also one of the people who believes that or rather cannot separate the president, the office of the presidency from the occupant. You know, but I think that we may be establishing here a precedent of having every word that is spoken in the president's office being made public information. And I think that's not a very safe. Well, I feel that it's dangerous.
I agree with that.
No,
How do you feel?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that the president could ever conduct our affairs if he can't have confidential advice.
Absolutely. That's terrific, providing that Russia is the enemy. You know, I mean, by the time we've got all our equipment installed, we've got another enemy. So you know, we have to sort of spread it around a little bit.
What do you think?
I'm happy.
I don't wash dishes.
But do you do windows? That's it.
I used to. I used to.
Do women make good spies?
Women.
I mean, with the exception of Mata Hari. We've all heard of Mata
I
Hari.
always try to find that out, you know.
If women
And
make
I
good
try
spies.
so often, yes.
Do they make good spies?
Oh, they have been quite a number of women, but mainly during last war used for not major parts.
Why do you think that is? Don't you think a woman could be trusted?
They speak too much. They talk too much.
Touche.